Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Killing Eve Season 3 finale reaction. And Jessica and we're on a bridge, and we're currently debating. No, we're not on a bridge. But I think this is a finale that shows the best and also probably the most frustrating parts of this season rolled into one. We've got so much to get to here.
Yeah, there was definitely some stuff that I took away from it that I really liked, but if you were expecting sort of this weird journey that we had all season to end with like a perfect finale, you will probably have the disappoint like I do.
It is kind of a microcosm for all of season 3, which I think is sort of a collection of really, really good moments mixed in with some stuff that just leaves you a little bit empty. But we'll go through it all. And before we do, if you guys do like this video, remember to give us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We have another video coming talking all about season 4, so we don't want you to miss any of that.
Well, let's jump into some of the stuff that we liked, because
Yes.
I don't want this to be a video where you've come here and all we're like is this didn't work and this didn't work, because there was some stuff in this finale that I really truly liked. And the main thing that I really liked was the whole dance sequence with Villanelle and Eve. Not only did it bring them back together, which is something that I've been really missing this season, but it was one of the few times that we've had Villanelle really be kind of drop the bratty BS and actually just be a little more raw with Eve about sort of the future and how she's feeling, and that idea of, you know, looking over at an older couple and kind of being like, what do you see when you look over there? Kind of like is that gonna ever be us? And having that raw response from Eve to be like, I hope not. Meaning, not I hope I'm not gonna be with you, but hope not that, like, we're gonna have a bit of a better end to us.
There's been a question that I long wonder with Killing Eve, is this meant to be thought of as a love story? And the word love can be used to define a lot of different things. There are multiple different iterations that we could examine it with. Mm-hmm. But in the end, I think so much of this show, and we'll get to this when we talk about the ending, is just about these two people who sort of realize that they don't know how to live without the other person. And I think you see Villanelle throughout this season go through this journey where she tries to find someone to latch onto, because it's certainly not Constantine anymore. It is certainly not her biological mother. We definitely know that.
Yeah, she's really been looking for that idea of family, that bond with someone that no matter what you've been through, you will be together forever in each other's lives. And that's why at the end, when we did have that scene with Constantine where he was kind of like, are you coming with me? And Villanelle was like, you're not my family. That you see that she has moved into a different space where she's looking past everything and really focusing in on who is there for her no matter what. And that person is Eve. She shot Eve and left her for dead. And in the last episode, you saw it on her face when she saw Eve coming down the platform, that it was kind of like, whoa, we've done all these things to each other and you are still coming after me to be here with me. So it was nice to see that progression of that story go throughout the season and get us to this point where she realizes that even though Eve and her bring out kind of the worst in each other, they also bring out some other things that are more positive in each other. And that is love and family.
And that brings us to the end of this episode, because I love every single thing about the final scene of this finale. This is it's close between this and the entire Villanelle storyline with their mother, with the crocodile rock scene, as I like to call it, on the train. But this, to me, is one of the strongest things that Killing Eve has done. I love the setting of it. I loved the writing of this scene. I love the performances from Jodie and Sandra in the moment. I love that they each had sort of the authority of choice, where they could walk away from each other and never look back, never see each other again. They each had the power to make their own decision. And I love that in this moment, and I don't know your experience watching it, I legitimately had no idea what was going to happen because remember the first 2 seasons, they ended in heartbreak in some way in that Villanelle gets in a near-death situation. Eve gets in a near-death situation. What are they going to do to break each other's hearts this time around? And they don't. And I was really surprised by it. And I was blown away by it. It was such a really, really strong ending.
I think the thing that I was blown away by is that they got it right. And that's just because this particular season has had these very strong storylines that kind of just went nowhere and didn't have the big payoff. This scene was perfect. It was beautifully done, beautifully written, beautifully acted, but they did it exactly right because we did have, the stabbing in season 1, the shooting in season 2, heartbreak. Does it have to be then we're just repeating ourselves again? There was a moment of fear that I had where I was just like, oh God, here we go again. They are going to have them just walk away from each other really after all this journey. And then they didn't. And I was like, I felt my heart just cheering that it's like, this is who they are. And they have finally gotten to this point of acceptance that they know they're bad for each other, but in other ways they are good for each other and they can't walk away from it. And that is what this season needed to end on.
It's unconditional, and that I think is just what I love about it so much. There's no hanging chad. There is no ulterior motive. There's no, I need to stick around Villanelle because of X, Y, and Z. It is exactly just, I know who this person is. I know what they've done to me in my life. You even had this question from Villanelle, have I ruined your life? And yet, here is Eve still willing to turn around, and I think this is what Villanelle was sort of hoping for, and I think that's why Villanelle waits a little while before she turns around, because I think she wants to see Eve turn around first, and then it happens. I have no idea where we go from here. We'll probably talk more about that in the other video, but I loved every second of this.
Yeah, this was the ending that needed to happen to move us into a fresh new season where we're kind of moving into this new dynamic where Villanelle is done with the 12. She's, mostly done with killing. We did see her kick that assassin into the train today, where we'll also talk about that. But she's moving into this new space where she's not exactly sure who she's going to be moving forward. And this whole episode even started with that idea of her going to Carolyn being like, you know what, hire me. I'm going to come on to MI6 and do anything else but kill people. And that conversation was really telling in a lot of ways because Carolyn kind of said, listen, all you can do is kill. That's all you are. And there was a moment that I was kind of like, that's not true. I mean, yeah, she is an efficient killer, and I understand that. But at the same time, the thing that goes along with that is that she has moved into character after character, accents, different situations that she needs to slip in, that not only was she killing somebody, but she was also getting information out of people. So that test that Carolyn gave her was a bit, bogus on my end, because I was kind of like, man, really look past all that. You can fit her in anywhere with almost any language or any accent and have her get information out of people because she has.
This is my read on that scene. Carolyn asked her to flip a coin that had 2 heads on it, and Villanelle says tails. There was no way she could pass that test because Carolyn just doesn't fundamentally want to work with Villanelle, who is an assassin, who has also created all sorts of chaos for her life, and I just think in general, she probably feels like, you know what, Villanelle may be good at a couple of things, but I'm not going to give her the credit of that. I'm not going to boost her own ego, and I'm guessing I'm guessing Carolyn may also think that, there's MI6 graduates who probably have some experience and training in the undercover ways, and I know that 99% of all crime shows, or at least all shows in general, act like everyone outside of the main character are complete idiots and incapable, but I think there's some other people who could do some of that.
Yeah, I think Villanelle just missed her opportunity. I mean, we did see her working with Carolyn last year a little bit, and that idea that, Villanelle might be able to come and work there. I think she just missed the train.
I think at this point, Carolyn's not willing to let anybody board the train anymore. I think Carolyn's not even sure if she's going to board the train anymore either. So there's a lot that is going on, and
yeah, especially when it comes to the 12. So this has been the big storyline for 3 seasons now, is the 12. And both of us thought that we were moving into next season where we were going to have sort of the Villanelle and Eve and maybe Carolyn team up to take down the 12. So it was very interesting to see that scene where Eve was kind of like, hey guys, so we're going to do this thing, and have both Carolyn and Villanelle say, no, we're not on that train anymore. We are going somewhere else, and you should too.
All right, let's get into this scene, because
whodunit.
On paper, this should have been one of the best scenes of the whole season, right? Because we actually have Constantine, Carolyn, Eve, Villanelle in the same place. Not exactly something that really happens all the time. It's sort of like you're waiting for the Avengers to all come together, and then when they come together, it's just sort of like, well, this isn't as much fun as I was hoping it was going to be. It had some cool moments here and there, but I think in general, it tied up a lot of loose ends, but I don't know how many of them are ultimately satisfying.
Yeah, I also felt like I was being handheld through this scene, and what season 1 and 2 did so well is it was made for an audience that was gonna get it, and they were a really smart audience. And I'm not saying this is made for a dumb audience. I'm just saying that it feels like there was a lot of hand-holding going on in this scene to be like, and then this happened, and this happened. It felt like old school mystery show where it's kind of like you get everyone in the room and it's like, I know you did it, and this is how I know because you did this and this and this, and then the audience is like, oh, it all comes together. And that's what it felt like, not like Killing Eve, kind of like I was watching Clue, which I also love, but it felt different.
Can we have on the Killing Eve Season 3 DVD alternate endings where there's another sort of, let me spell it out for you now.
That's right, where Tim Curry comes out and is like, and then the murder happened in this room, and everybody runs off. No,
I would love that, no.
It was just it felt like I was being told, here, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, and that's how we got here. And this show is usually really quite good at just showing me how we got there. So I had the disappoint in this scene.
I don't mind how Kenny died. I don't mind that it's ultimately Kenny falls off. Yeah, Kenny falls off. And just because he's sort of backing away from Constantine, who's doing his, join us, like, sort of spiel to him. And I think, that's fine. I'm sure some people probably are disappointed by it. But, I think it works okay for a show all about murder and death to have something occur like this. I'm okay with that. The Paul of it all, it's just, I could care less about Paul. He's barely been a big part of the show. It doesn't really matter to me all that much that he's dead, that he was linked up to the 12, to all of that. It's just Paul meeting his demise in the finale. It's not oh my gosh, let's all drop our jaws, like I can even say that, moment.
Yeah, no, the whole Paul of it all was a giant letdown. There wasn't enough buildup of him this season. What I would have loved is if it pains me to say this because I really love this actress, they needed to drop Geraldine altogether, and all of that storyline that led us to a big nothing burger all season long. And they should have built up more Paul so that it gets us to that point that his death actually mattered, because it didn't. I just was kind of like, I've seen you a handful of times. It was the same feeling I had when the other assassin got kicked into the subway. I was kind of like, I've seen you for a minute. Like, I just don't care what's happening here.
Okay, this is the ultimate question. Least effective Killing Eve Season 3 character. Geraldine, Rianne the assassin, and also let's throw in there Constantine's daughter, who seemed to maybe be useful for about 2 minutes, and then after that it's all right. Why are we spending? I'm voting hands down for Geraldine.
Oh, Geraldine! Listen, the Geraldine of it all was such one of the most useless characters on any show that I've ever seen.
It's Yara Greyjoy.
It's Yara Greyjoy.
You have a great actress. What are you doing?
And she was amazing on Game of Thrones. And I still think she did the best that she could with the material she was given, which was really nothing. She didn't. The whole purpose of her was for Constantine to be able to get that magnet into the house, which he could have gotten in a million different ways. We didn't need this character to take up this much screen time to lead us to her getting kicked out of the house.
If you wanted to have a Game of Thrones connection in here, you could have had Constantine send a raven with the magnet in there, and it would have worked just as effectively.
It was truly one of the most disappointing things of this season. When I first saw her in that pilot, or the premiere, yeah. I was so excited. I thought we were going somewhere really cool. I thought maybe they're going to have some big reveal, or she's going to have a bigger purpose of this story, and nothing. Like, legitimately nothing.
Maybe she's being set up for something next season, but it seems like really the end of this...
No, kick her out of the house. I'm done with Geraldine.
Just like Carolyn, we want her to be kicked out of the house.
Yeah, she's kicked out.
Yeah, and
she's kicked out of the pack.
I'm not a big Carolyn fan this season at all. I feel like that it just... We got somewhere kind of interesting with the Kinney reveal, but it was sort of like we spent 6-7 episodes just sort of watching Carolyn in her house, and then all of a sudden everything goes from sort of 0 to 60 in the finale, and then it's like, okay, well, that's it, all right.
Yeah, listen, I am a Carolyn defender. I love her. I think that the actress is amazing. I think that the character is fascinating, and that's why this season, the blame for me does not land on Carolyn, because I think she was really fascinating in season 1. She's very fascinating in season 2. Now you have this character that has been built up to have this sort of very weird, aura around her, and then you don't know what to do with her. It's like taking this beautiful fine wine and then pairing it with macaroni and cheese, and you just don't know what to do with it. And that's what's happened here. The story could have been really juicy. You had this death of Kenny that, turned out to be an accident, and that's okay. But I just watched her mope around for like 7 episodes. There was nothing for her to do. It was a lot along the lines of Geraldine. There was nothing for her to do. And it almost felt like, and as much as I love Carolyn, she needed to just not be part of this season. I hate saying that.
The hardest thing I think about this season is I think you look at parts of it and you say, oh my gosh, this is amazing, because they had some genuinely amazing stuff all season and in the finale. But it's sort of when you balance that out with other stuff that doesn't work as well, it really makes the flaws sort of stand out even more, because you're contrasting them to the excellent stuff, the final scene of this season, some of the other moments we had along the way, the dance, like all of this is so good.
I love that dance.
I know, and then you sort of pair it with some other stuff that's just not working, and it makes the not working part of it obvious, and it feels ultimately like they had a really good outline for what they wanted the season to be and how they wanted to get from point A to point B with some of these characters. But with Carolyn in particular, I don't think they really found a way to construct a proper road. It was sort of just like she just jumped over everything in the middle.
Well, that's sort of the feel of this entire season. It just felt like they had good ideas that didn't stick the landing. Like, we went on this big thing with Kenny this whole season that turned out to not have, like, as much of an impact for me. I don't, dislike that he walked himself off the roof, but at the same time, why did it lead us here? What was the purpose of this? Like, it didn't really lead us anywhere in the story. And it was the same, like we said, with Paul, with Geraldine. Like, where were we going with this? Then we had this other assassin, and they've seen each other twice, her and Villanelle.
Yeah.
Then we've got this confrontation that they had been kind of hyping up for this episode with the picture of the two of them standing beside each other. I'm like, oh man, okay, this is going to be really great. Like, I'm kind of excited about this idea of another assassin maybe coming in, being different, being also very skilled, because if you're going to have an assassin for the 12, they're going to be skilled, right? No, they're going to just get choked out once, kicked into the subway. They're going to not even try to get up. They're just going to wait for the train to run them over and then beg for their life. That's who they've hired, which was very strange. This character, man, they could have done without her. Again, she didn't actually bring anything to it. There was no point.
I think I liked the idea of her. I thought in the previous episode when we saw the end of Mo, I was really excited about this character. I was like, all right, she is going to be the big bad for season 4, and we're going to see them face off. And I think that could have been really, really fun and interesting to have this sort of opponent out there. But yeah, I'm seriously questioning now the 12's hiring practices. I sort of feel like they could have any old schmo could come in there now with a job application if you're just gonna get punted in front of a train.
Yeah, and beg for your life. That doesn't seem to be because, I mean, we've met Dasha, we've met Villanelle, we've even seen Helena. I'm probably saying her name wrong. That's fine. You guys know who I'm talking about. Everybody has a toughness about them. And then we've got an assassin that's been hired by the 12, and they're begging for their life. It was quite strange.
Well, overall, though, I think we're in an interesting spot moving forward in Killing Eve. Despite our misgivings about the finale and parts of this season, I think when Killing Eve is great, it's better than almost any show on television. And I'm excited to see where they go, and we're going to try to talk some of that through.
Yeah, because one of the things that this season finale did really right is bringing Eve and Villanelle back together, and it did end up kind of shining a light for me on the rest of the season of how much that was truly missed. And it's going to be very interesting to see where they do go into season 4, because that final scene felt like a series finale.
And it's
not, but it feels like it could have been like the perfect series finale. It was so good.
You guys better have a better idea for the series finale now. That's
it's got to be better than that, because that was really perfect.
Well, we'll try to think about where they're going to go from here in another video, so stay tuned for that and let us know what you thought about the Killing Eve season 3 finale. And if you did enjoy this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the store. And we'll see you here next time.